So, three mistakes to avoid when you are provisioning VM in Azure or any cloud, but this is specific to Azure cloud. Now, first is the wrong VM size selection. This is very important because if you select a wrong size, you will end up over provisioning the VM or undersizing the VM, which will lead to the performance. And if you over provision, then there will be a cost, higher cost for your virtual machine. So what you can do is you can assess the CPU, memory, and the disk I/O needs of the workload that will be deployed in the virtual machine, and accordingly you can size or select the right VM size. And also you can start with the recommended size. For example, general purpose size of D series, B series, or you can, if it is memory intensive, then you go with E series. So this is the big mistake you should avoid and follow the guidelines. The second mistake that we do is not configuring the availability and redundancy. This is very important. If you don't select the availability and the redundancy options, you might end up spinning up a critical workload without any redundancy, and that might have an impact on the VM. So what are the options? The options are use availability sets or availability zones whenever needed, and these are the two options that will give you high availability for your virtual machine. And always, if for mission critical workloads, place the VMs in different zones, so that even if there is a downtime or a data center is down on one zone, still your workload will be online. And the third and important mistake that we do or we can do is the improper disk and storage configuration. Let's look at what we can do about this mistake. So yeah, this is the mistake, that we are using standard HDD for the workloads which are requiring very high IOPS. And the second related mistake is not separating the OS and the data disk. So the solution is always use premium SSD for production workloads that need speed. So separate the OS disk, data disk, and always the temp disk for a better performance. I will quickly show you all these three options in the portal. Where do you see these options while creating a VM? I'll go on virtual machine, create virtual Azure virtual machine. Let's first select check the VM size. This is the size where we select the VM size for the VM. I've clicked on all sizes, and here you can see all the size available based on your configuration. For example, 2 CPU, 4 GB RAM, and it will filter down. So for example, D series. Now within D series you can select which size is appropriate for your workload, and you can select that size. So this is the first option that you need to be very careful while deploying the virtual machine. Now let's look at the second option of availability and redundancy. So in this availability options, you can see there are options available like no infrastructure redundancy required. This should be used if your workload is not that much critical or doesn't require any high uptime, then you can go with this option. But if your production or mission critical workloads, then you can physically separate them using availability zone. Basically your VMs will be spread out between different zones, or you can distribute your VMs within your virtual machine scale set. So it will be distributed across different fault domains, or you can say the different racks. And this is availability set option, which is related to the virtual machine scale set, similar to that, where the virtual machine will be spread across the multiple fault domains. The only difference is that auto scale feature is available in virtual machine scale set, which is not available in availability set. And the third option about the disk is here. I will have to click on next. OS disk data. So if you see three options here, one is standard HDD and the twos are SSD. Now if your machine is requires high IOPS, then go for this premium or standard SSD, and if your workload or VM is only for the test purpose, then go for standard HDD. So these are the three options, three mistakes. I would recommend you to think about that and do it correctly.